So, as per request, I started shuffling cards. I was watching this interesting character on TikTok, and I got your message to shuffle some cards and see what came out. And interestingly, it confirmed what it was that I was kind of thinking at the time. So, here's what happened: the Lovers came out reversed, swiftly followed by the Tower. All these cards literally flew out. Um, Followed by the Six of Cups, followed by, oh, I've got some split cards here, the Chariot, which fell at the end of this sequence, followed by the Star, which came in left of the Chariot, and followed by five cards, topped by Death, Six of Swords reversed, King of Cups reversed, Justice, and Five of Pentacles. Just tap that twice. Okay, why did I tap it twice? Whew. I'm seeing the High Priestess with the two. I tapped it with my right hand, which is my dominant hand, and my air finger, which says to me that that's Two of Swords as well. So it's a severance. The Six of Cups, the Lovers reversed, seems to reflect that. Sorry, I'm looking at the screen rather than looking at the lens of the camera here, because I'm identifying too many flaws. But anyway, point of the matter is that the Lovers reversed and the Tower in quick succession. The fact that I tapped twice took me to air and the Two of Swords. The Tower was the second position, and we have 6 columns, 6 being the number of the Lovers as well. And that's 6 columns ending in the Chariot, which is a very polarizing card, depending upon the context. And then the context here is love, relationships, familiarity, and then obviously that can be appended with the remainder of that phrase, that idiom, which is familiarity breeds contempt. It seems that is something that is generational. And so basically the experience that I have is when I speak to people, I tend to speak to what's in them, who's in them, rather than the casing of the person themselves. It's not something that I seek to do, but as we engage in conversation, it's almost as though the person who I'm speaking to, their insides are aware of my insides, and there's a communication that takes place, layers and layers within, that I am able to translate and interpret. And so I understand that I'm not speaking to that person in front of me, but there are very few who I engage in conversation with who are aware of it as well. But when that happens, it's absolutely magical. And it's still magical even when they're not aware, but it just kind of makes me smile to myself because I know that there's something or someone coming up. With the Six of Cups, for me, this basically brings in who we may speak of as our guides. And I've had a heavy presence of guides today, a huge presence of guides today. I really want to take my wardrobe out of this picture, but I think it's kind of key to show you something. See that green coat there? That's a coat that features in, I can't remember the name of the poem. I think it's The Kid or The Child or something, The Kid. Scratching my throat chakra here. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. And it's basically saying that this woman who'd passed away, and this did happen, by the way, this woman who'd passed away, her son, which had been for her a very problematic relationship, she'd felt burdened by this relationship. He had several problems and issues, and given the review that she had on her passing, like through her passing as well as on the other side of her passing, she was given the opportunity to revisit certain periods, events, relationships in her previous life or the life that she was exiting excuse me as a way to decide if that was something that she would wish to repeat. And when it came to this son and this green coat, which is not, I'm not her son, but like just so happens that symbol there is quite significant. She said no, absolutely not. And when you're saying no, you're saying no to all the steps that led up to the original no, if that makes sense, because you're reversing through life. And so she knew that she did not want the son that she had just left. Excuse me. There's a lot going on here. She knew she didn't want the son that had left, but each step, each previous step, each step that had led up to the form that she no longer wanted, she also said no to. She chose herself essentially at the end. So this happens for many, many people, like many people. Some people take a little longer to say yes or no. Some people, there may be more forks in their road where they have to decide upon. But essentially, they all arrive at the same conclusion, which is, no, I pick myself. Because what happens with death is that, how do I put this? Excuse me a moment, let me just, okay. What happens with death when you are reviewing your life, or the life that you thought you were aware of when you're passing, everything that was peripheral, absolutely everything that was peripheral, comes to the forefront. So what this is basically your prefrontal cortex is like shutting down, it's going. It's one of the last things to go, and your senses start to rearrange within that, within the decision-making process. So when you're saying no or yes, whichever one it is, you're presented with all the stuff that you didn't see, all the stuff that you didn't hear, all the stuff that you didn't taste, all the stuff that you didn't smell, as a way to consolidate your experiences into either a new experience, an improved experience, or a repeat experience. And if you remember what something felt like, if you have any sentiment attached to it, if you have anything that you want to continue with, the most prominent and dominant senses will be made apparent to you, because that's what the memory was built on. But then the stuff that happened around it will also present itself to you to make sure that you are literally making a full informed decision. But because a lot of the stuff was peripheral, there can be a rather rude awakening to deception, to deceit, to I know that's the same word, but to malice, to the unspoken thoughts of those who are around you, because thought is absorbed in a sensory way, in a sensual way. You don't know that when you're tasting bitterness, that you're actually receiving the thought patterns, the thought signals of that person who's around you. So you might not even acknowledge that this has had an impact upon your sense. But when you get to the end, you're given your reasons, you're given the whys this tasted that way, you're given the why something smelt like this to you but to no one else, you're given the why as to why you felt nervous perhaps, without understanding why it was around a certain person. Excuse me. Or even if that person wasn't present, any dissonance you are made aware of its reason at your time of death. Next question might be, well, doesn't that take a lifetime? And it's like, actually, yeah, it does. But your sense of time completely changes. And what we witness as living, assuming we are living, what we witness as the living in a matter of milliseconds, literally the blink of an eye, is a lifetime. And those decisions that were made to retrieve old information and reshape it, that blink of the eye doesn't have to be the one lifetime that is lived. A series and succession of lifetimes are experienced in death, because you want to make the right decision. And there's no pressure to do so, but basically if you're saying no, and then it's like, stop there, lights go off, you've stopped there, and now you get, okay, now you're here, what about this part of the peripheral that you didn't get? No, yes. You're literally floating as spirit does from wave to wave until you hit the ideal. And we witness that death, but in a physical sense, as a matter of like seconds or minutes, if you even get to witness it. Some people don't. Excuse me, I just need to plug this thing in. Yeah, but anyway, back to the card reading, I suppose. So yeah, so this green jacket, even though it may not appear to have any relevance, it seems that it must do, because it's something that was brought to my attention from my periphery, or from my peripheral rather. So this is basically saying to me that that yes no process, the procedure that I worked with that lady on, is something that's being expressed through me right now. It's like saying, yeah, I did that. I'm home. Is essentially what it is. But the decision point was about X. And when I say X, they may not have been X when this lady left this realm, which she hasn't completely done, but left physical form. But they now are an X. She said. She said no. The Chariot, in terms of the the dichotomy that can often come with death because of that decision making, it is literally a decision tree. So it's yes no yes no yes no yes no, and it can be it can feel it is divisive because you can either say yes or no. There's no in between. There's no maybe. It's no. It's yes or no. Like you decide, and each answer appears after you've made the decision. And so if you're left hanging, literally like the hanged man, if you leave it hanging, you're literally just suspended. You're suspended because you've made no action or movement to progress. And because we are conditioned in our lifetimes usually to perceive progress as a yes, we've had that programmed in our heads, and so there's a deprogramming that takes place in death as well, and understanding that loss certainly can be gain, and particularly when you're given all the peripheral information and you understand that okay, I thought it was love, he even thought it was love, or whoever the partner is, but now I see that absolutely is not the love that I want for myself, because also in death you are given previews of what could be or what could have been, and so that makes it a lot easier to make your decisions. It's like, that's what love feels like. Oh my gosh, I'm going for that one. And the moment you know that's what I want, then anything else that diverges from that path, it's like, nah, don't want that, don't want that, don't want that, don't want that. And there's less attachment because some of those I don't want that, don't want that, don't want that can be who were your children, who were your family, and who you basically gave your world to. But there is an absolute beauty that comes from knowing yourself and your goals so well, so much, that you realize, yeah, they were called my children, but now I see, particularly now I've got that peripheral information as to what they're actually capable of when it comes to love. Now you're grand, thanks, I'll leave that. I've done my job. I did my bit for society when I was in it. I'd rather just be like with the love that I see at the end of this tunnel. So yeah, that's basically what I'm seeing right now. Um, I suppose that Five of Pentacles kind of reiterates what I've just said with the Justice. Now, um, Justice topped by the King of Cups reversed. So I was saying that this partner, and I know it's a man, he's also on the other side. Like they're both making decisions. He's made decisions towards her because she was always the better, and he's saying better half of him. And she's like, we were never halves. That's the flipping problem. But anyway, right? He's deluded is essentially what it is. And the King of Cups being that no man is an island, but being afloat a lot of the time and being upside down as well in the hanged man position, is that suspension, that clinging on to time, clinging on to the memories, and attaching, literally psychic attachment, to hold her there, so making decisions a lot harder for her to make. So I suppose exerting pressure in some way, and a lot of that can come through guilt. Now these seven deadly sins are a real thing. It doesn't mean that you are worthy of death, not that death is a bad thing, by the way, but it doesn't mean you deserve death and therefore these are the sins that you shall experience because of this condemnation. It means this is what you go through when you die. Essentially, I use the word essentially quite a lot, and it's with purpose actually. But essentially, what happens is when you die, and those peripheral things come into play, you get to kind of like have a bit of a game of life. Like I want that, but I don't want that, and you start putting your puzzle pieces together, literally. But this is what the Devil card is a great rep for. As you in some cases decay, but basically as your chemicals leave your body, your emotions are in essence, right? And so the obvious stuff shows itself first. And it's just like being buried, it's just like being burned. There is a reduction that takes place. And again, this is where the devil comes in really handy, because it shows the amount you've held throughout that lifetime that you're exiting, and the stuff that you held and internalized comes up last. And this is where the egos of any others outside of your sphere, whatever that sphere is, can sometimes have an influence. And so they capitalize on the likes of guilt. They capitalize on the guilt is really the only currency they have. But those 7 deadly sins each are fed off guilt, which keeps you in that limbo for a lot longer. What I mean by that is, when you internalize stuff such as like desire, sexual desire, some stuff you might have done, you might have had a few parties and car keys and all that, that's your business, absolutely your business. But you need to be able to, okay, you might not be in a body to stand up in, but when you do hit that spiritual court, which is essentially others people's judgments of things that you've done, even though you haven't told them that's what you've done, and including your own judgment that you've thrown at others based upon stuff that you've actually done as well, they come up, and they come up on full display. If the more you've kept it in, the bigger and greater is the force that projects it out, and you just sit there and have to just take it. And if you don't take it, I'm not saying that it's the threat or anything, but like if you're in denial about it, then you're just keeping it down. And it's like, but you've no body to keep it down in. So it just sits there as this mass that becomes a performance by these spiritual actors to keep you in shame. There's actually, there are a couple of scenes in Game of Thrones. I think it's like the first season or something. I can't remember the character's name, that kind of little psycho, I can't remember what house she's from. Ned Stark, I think, is her dad or something like that. But basically she joins a kind of like not a traveling circus or something like that, troupe of actors or something like that. That is essentially what that depicts. It's spiritual acting, so that basically you can kind of keep everyone entertained, for one. It's their job to keep you ashamed, to keep you embarrassed, to keep you down, essentially, because when that happens, then others can jump in. So yeah, it's not immaterial, but I think I'm going off on a tangent here. But which is where the star card comes in, that whole performance thing. This is a literal meaning this time. It's not metaphoric. It's a literal meaning of performance, and that's what happens in death. But anyway, where was I? So yes, he's not happy about it. I have a stack of cards here that were just like sitting under the chariot. So I'm just going to have a look at what they are. Oh, okay. So they're sitting under the chariot. They were like this, basically. But I know this is the bottom card, as it were. But again, another card of performance. Let's see what we've got. Oh, here he is. This is the King of Cups reversed, unhappy. And exactly what I was just saying about the keeping you down. And the clouds that are in this card, I don't know how well you can see them, but if you look at the outline of this middle blue card, right, to me it looks like a dog, and dogs feature in the Fool card, 10 of Pentacles, and the Wheel of Fortune. That reduction that I spoke of, and that chemical release that goes on in the body, the Wheel of Fortune, which is the 10th card of the Major Arcana, or the number 10 in the Major Arcana, because like you could include the Fool. But anyway, also has that dog, and it's a case of every dog has their day. The wheel going round, and that kind of dog-like looking figure that is underneath it, the underdog, has its day. This is the underdog. Even the clothes kind of represent it, where it's like, well, you thought I was a tramp, and by the way, I'm not saying that he's an actual tramp, but he was a huge drinker, and quite aggressive and quite narky and quite not nice about much, so I can completely understand it. But anyway, yeah, this is saying that this was him getting his revenge, essentially, because you know those manipulators who when you get together, they're like, you can tell me anything, baby, and they're like, oh, they'll cuddle you and all that stuff. The moment you tell them your shit, excuse my language, but the moment you tell them your stuff, right, it's like they hold it against you for as long as possible to keep you in that embarrassed state, so you don't seek anything that they know is better, but they don't want you to know is better. Yeah, this is the one. Still doing it even after death, right? Okay, so that's the top card beneath the Chariot, and that's why I see it in that way, is because the Chariot can be a somewhat strict card, or somewhat not always vengeful, but certainly seeking retribution. And although for me usually the Chariot card is a somewhat reasoned and, yes, logical, I'd hate to use that word for this, but yeah, a rather regional, I don't know what I came from there. Oh, maybe there's a region in there somewhere that I need to look at. But somewhat strategic. When in its more positive states, when you have this type of energy behind it, it creates an imbalance. You can see the imbalance from the positioning of the character towards on my right of the card, but I know you're seeing it on the screen to your left. But facing it to the right of the card is saying to me that the viewer, which is the woman, which is me, but I'm not her, you know what I mean? Anyway, I'm looking at it and I'm seeing it's my dominant side. So because I'm looking at it and it's behind the Chariot, then it's about her being dominated. Because where it's not me, then it's her. I'm pretty sure I've said something along those lines anyway. So anyway, so basically this character is using this energy to do what this character does, which is to punish. Not all the time, but in this case, because they're back to back. Okay, next card up. Oh, Queen of Swords. Interestingly, this card features in that poem about the child and those decisions. And I've said it already. Yeah, the yes, no's, and the Queen of Swords is like, no, I remember what you did. The clouds here in the Queen of Swords, and particularly as she's elevated, is saying to me this is spiritual communications. This is her saying, okay, I'm in spirit now, but I know you, I remember you. And also the seat, the throne of the Queen is actually a gravestone. So there's that. Right, where else are we? Oh, Knight of Pentacles. Okay, so let me just double check on this character here. Yeah, okay. So if we look at this character here, and again, this character is to my right, and this character is facing, oh, this is getting confusing now. 1 second. So the way that I'm seeing it is, I suppose, like this. So if I show it to you like this, you'll be able to see a bit better. Okay, so regardless of whether it's my right or left, you can see now that this character, for me, in my view, represents her. And this character is basically trying to impede the progress. And I've said this already. Must be psychic. Okay, what else do we have? Okay, Four of Cups reversed. She said no. She said no, and he's trying to stop her from saying no, basically. I think I may fan these out now. Yeah, so he's trying to stop her from saying no. Oh, I like this card. Not. Right, okay, so Three of Wands, okay. Now, I used to struggle with this card. It's a card that holds little relationship to my own life, I suppose. Maybe that's why I don't see so much in it, but what I do see is this, right? I'm going to turn it up. Right, just to show you what I mean. If you look very closely at the feet of the character in the Three of Wands, right? I don't know if you can see it from here. And if you do see it, then I suggest you get the larger cards, because these are like the miniature version. It's not very clear here, but they're actually very claw-like, which says to me to look at the nature of the person that you are looking at. Now, we've already seen in the Five of Swords, if you saw it in the cloud, that there was that dog-like figure. This is like dogged determination, but we're suspended. So this person is refusing to not even look at the bigger picture, but is basically has basically framed his belief of what should be going forward, and hasn't changed in any way from how he was before. So there is no progress, there is no going forward. So he's literally suspended in time, and this is creating a loop for her because he keeps revisiting memory, and because they're in a space where thought is the force, thought is the only way of movement, his thought is blocking hers, because it's like, you're not going anywhere, because he's not even saying you're not going anywhere, it's like, I remember, do you remember? And she's like, there's almost a part of her that's still sentimental about it, not necessarily caring, but just like, because she remembers, it's dragging her back to the memory that he has planted. Now, I'm not saying that he's changed her memory or altered her memory, though now I've said it, I'm kind of like, maybe he did. But basically, what I mean is, the moment she shows any sort of movement away from what he believes was the happy family that she really doesn't, he's like, he'll send and project and transfer thought so that she revisits where she's been. One thing that we do share, me and this woman, is that she has a very strong memory, and that's the unfortunate part of it. This person capitalizes on that, because it's like, well, if I can't come with you, I will bring you back here each and every time. The nature that is in this card suggests that, first of all, she is the, how do I put this? She's the kinder of the two to start with. That's not saying that animals or anything that's not human is unkind. It's just because, one, it's suspended, as in it's reversed. Two, the outfit on this character as well is very military, and interesting. He has the same green that the character has clothed himself in the Five of Swords. But what we're looking at here is yeah, okay, he died before her. He died before her, so knew what was coming. This was the I suppose the final hurdle, in that he knows of the shame, the spiritual court, the judgments that fly back and forth, and knew that if he capitalized on it here, where he felt it was the final showdown, then it would revert to here, where he thought he was at his strongest, but was really a placeholder in time for him to hopefully retrieve what he felt he'd had with her, and therefore gain more value, more status, more dominance. Dominance is coming up really strongly here. He wasn't expecting her to say no. That's really what happened. He wasn't expecting it. And I'm like, ooh, this is juicy. Okay, what's next? Do we have any more? Oh, we do. Oh, no, we don't. Okay, so that's that bit. There is more to the Three of Wands. He had, the way that it works is, he died first, she died after, but he'd made all his decisions heading towards her, but she's heading back with her decisions. It is a circle, basically, but they're not meant to be in the same circle. That's really what it is. They're just not meant to be in the same circle, and that's cool. She knows this. He's not as willing to accept that as she is. Because he died first and he went through this traveling circus thing, he essentially employed people to, back to that memory implantation, he employed people to manipulate her emotionally so that the sentiment would become stronger, so that he could direct her course from where he was back to her, rather than allow her to, see, I'm even saying the word allow, that shouldn't even be there, rather than release and allow free will. He manipulated her path so that it would lead back to him, regardless of what her decisions were, because he decided that they were meant to be together. There's one card poking out here. Let's have a look what it is. Oh, there's the employment of those people. So I'm pretty sure I've said this in another recording, where this card is very much about putting those puzzle pieces together again, from documents, from old people's memories, others' narratives about what a person was like, their accounts of what a person was like. This stuff is all collected, very much like court, and presented to the usually unaware dead person, saying, this is your life, here, have it. And what these people do is literally, they're like data brokers. They just swap people's lives over, and not just like, they don't swap an entire life, they will swap bits of data. It's like, well, what are you willing to give me? What position do you want me to play in your life? I'll do that, and you can perhaps like put me in the will or something. And these are the contracts, and these are the promises that are made after life to perpetuate life. But it's never the person's life, never. There's not, because if it is, then that person can do it off their own back. They're crafty, excuse my language, crafty. Don't go near them. It doesn't mean that this means this each and every time, but it certainly is a card that I feel is absolutely misunderstood. It's nothing to do with this whole, we're in a chapel, we're building something. What is it you're building exactly? You're building bullshit for me, basically. And don't dare stand in my face and tell me you're my mother, you're my daughter, you're my sister, because there are gaps in data. I remember. And this is why I don't like it when we're encouraged to, no, don't be emotional. Why not? Because I've now discovered that emotions is exactly what will drive me. And emotions, because I remember, means that that's true, essentially. Now, it may not be true to you. It may not be true to other people who observed it. But if I feel it, then that means I remember it. If I remember it, I'm calling you out. If I call you out, that means you have to step down. Because where it is true, and because I know me, and because I know my memory, you can't fill that gap. And that is part of the contracts that you sign, except I didn't sign a contract. You know that you can only be employed for as long as I allow you to be. The moment I say, no, you're not doing your job because I didn't employ you for it, you have to go. And that is law. That is law across living, dead, done. You have to go. I just want people to know that thing. Right, one more. Oh, Queen of Cups. Okay, oh God, this one. Queen of Cups, right? She's actually an employee through this talent agency for the afterlife, but essentially. This Queen of Cups character, when I've gone, oh my God, right, I'll tell you why. Reverse. Interestingly, I actually know someone who holds this energy and actually looks like this person, and it's saying to me, yeah, she's one of them who did it to you, Chanel. And I'm like, I know. But anyway, if I just turn her back up, right? If you look at, turn her back up. Her backup, very okay, technology is probably a great example of that. You know, when you have like a virus, or if you look at a disk defrag, DNA is very similar, and you have like these little gaps in it. These are the types of characters that try to fill those gaps. It's like, well, this is the trajectory, and if I can get in here, I can take away from me being an absolute flipping lush, and I can just put it in here. All I have to do is ask this person who has that gap there, did you ever drink? They can say yes or no, makes no difference, because the moment they've said no, that means that my trajectory and my deeds over there have been completely gone. They've vanished because they've now taken it, because they answered the question. If they say yes, it just means I can slot in there and just continue life as normal. It's like, seriously, there is a lot of transaction that goes spiritually and afterlife that people have no idea of. But what makes it even better is they have no idea that the afterlife is in the life that we're in as well. And so that's the layers that I was speaking of. You're talking to people within people, and it's like, nah, hold on a minute. That person was a teetotaler all of 2 days ago. I don't know what you've done. I don't know who you are, but I will find out. And when I do, you're certainly not stepping into my space, because I know you're trying to move forward and forward and forward. You seek virtue. I'm not doing it with you. Do not even play with me. And furthermore, you've come up against the spiritual gangster. Wrong one. Right, anyway, this person here, particularly as they're reversed, but I'm just going to show you upright. So you can probably see it. The whole the throne, and if you recall what I said about this Queen of Swords was a gravestone. I see gravestones with them all the time. But anyway, right, this one's another gravestone, but this one's cute, right? This one is like literally highest bidder. I will be your wife, I will be your girlfriend, I will be your mother, I will be your daughter, I will be your dog. Just tell me what I need to do, give me my money, we'll set out terms, look at duration. Once we're done though, that's it. But I'm free. So that's essentially what that is. But the throne itself, you can see the little baby cherubs. Basically, this character, when employed and using this energy in the Three of Pentacles, their job basically is to stabilize and to frame a new family for the passing. And in this case, the gentleman, and I say gentleman because I'm being extremely kind, but he's actually an arsehole. But anyway, this character basically paid her, another person who was paid, to set the scene for the wife to come back into. Excuse me. Because part of that manipulation of memory was to get the wife to come back and be jealous. And that jealousy then holds her in place. It tethers her to a situation that is none of her business. So I've made her aware of this way beforehand, and she's like, thank you so much. I'm like, it's cool. And he's probably wanting to kill me now. But anyway, besides that, another thing that they do is they set scenes in a brilliant way. It's like I've said earlier, it's all sensory or sensual. I'm not entirely sure which of the words to use, but if you look at the throne, it looks like a jukebox, you know, the old-fashioned jukeboxes. I don't know if you can see it. And also there's like a drain pipe down here. People talk about the Queen of Cups as though she's in some way a romanticized maternal character. Like I said, I'm a spiritual gangster. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. So I know when I know, right? I know when I see one, right? This one, that drain, she what's the word? Essentially, undercover, and notice that she has like a gloved hand or a hand. Oh no, in this one it's different. But in the larger ones, if you look at her hand, it's kind of shadowed. Yeah, she siphons off the trash, the dirt, and she collects that dirt and like pollutes the sea, the consciousness, with the narrative, and so basically takes out the dirty stuff that he did and just puts it down over there. You never notice, and make everything look bright and beautiful and blooming, and then that's job done. It might be a contract for 25 years. She gets a house out of it. She's delighted. She now finds someone else to move on to. What I will say as well is the beauty comes when these contracts end. Because people like me, I'm quite open with my views of the spiritual world with you, but not with too many people. But generally, there's an opinion that, oh, you're crazy, and it's like, yeah, wait until the contracts end and tell me I'm crazy. Because the minute the contracts end, like I said, they're to the highest bidder. They do not give a shit. So they're just like, right, that's it. I was your wife yesterday. Now I'm not. Contract's over. Done. Plus, you've given me no more money. We're good, right? Then you see everything fall down, and it's like, oh my god, they might have been right. Oh my god, yeah. So yeah, that happens. Okay, I think we've been recording for way too long, but I just wanted to share that with you. And I hope you're well. And I will speak with you at some stage. I'll give you a call or something. But yeah, it's up for you. Talk to you later.